welcome everyone to this future-proof container terminal episode. Today we got a really interesting guest, Antti Kaunonen, President for Kalmar Automation Solutions, and I will define why interesting. And it's because Antti had been involved with automation in different industries, such as the pulp and paper, oil and gas, logistics, power generation, and these days in the maritime industries with Kalmar. And especially these days that we are hearing more and more about automation, and customers and operators worldwide are investing in this type of technology, not only on the process level, but also on the equipment level. It would be great to hear your thoughts, lessons learned, and best practices. So with this being said, Antti, welcome to the stage.
Great pleasure to be here. I like the idea of having these kind of sessions. Looking forward.
Great, Antti, great. So the plan for today is that I had put together some questions based on daily conversations, not only with customers, also with colleagues and among other friends in the maritime industry. And we will go through them. I would like to hear your thoughts, lessons learned, experiences, especially what are the main challenges when we talk about automation. So is this okay for you? Let's go for it, Antti.
Fine with me.
So Antti, before going into the questions, and for those who haven't met you yet, could you share a little bit more about your background and who is Antti?
Who is Antti? Yeah, I have been very long time already in the business, so I'm fairly experienced. So working over 40 years with different kind of automated solutions and very many times with intelligent kind of machines. And I have had the pleasure to be working in very many different kind of industries. And what I have been able to see is this use of automation starting, having all these issues, and then really going forward with that. So I have been working with pulp and paper, oil and gas, power generation, some logistic industries already earlier, before now joining Kalmar. And in Kalmar I have been now 6 years, and I have to say that this is very exciting phase what we are living now. I'm a very proud grandfather of 3, Finnish nationality, spent 15 years paying taxes outside of Finland, in USA, China and Germany, and been always really, like I said, involved very much also with the university, and I strongly believe that automation is the megatrend that will go forward.
Really interesting journey, Antti, in many countries. But for those who had never been in Finland, how would you describe Finland?
Well, the first thing is, of course, that the education level is here very high. So because if you think about what we have in Finland, we have cold weather, forest, and then people. So forest is for pulp and paper industry, cold weather is for very efficient energy generation and energy distribution, and people is the most important resource what we have. So we really put a lot of effort of education and then getting the educational level as high as possible. And this is really the strength of Finland, and we need to keep on pushing that forward.
Nice, Antti. And I can also say that for me, working for a Finnish company, even though I am based here in the Netherlands, it has been a quite interesting journey. So before jumping into the hardcore sessions, Antti, I always like to ask this question, and I will just shoot it. So how would you describe container terminal operation in one word?
One word, I would say complex. The complexity is really coming from the fact that you have so many factors affecting that we don't talk about microseconds or milliseconds kind of controls now. So the delays or time is not from the essence, but so many things can go wrong. Let's put it that way. So many things are happening at the same time. So complexity would be the word that I would use.
And do you think this complexity is due to the nature of the operation, or is something that is because the business has been evolving all over the years?
I think that the complexity comes really from the fact that it's a logistic chain, and if I may use the word bottleneck in this context. So it may become a bottleneck for the whole for the logistics system. And if you think about nowadays these mega ships, so talk about 23,000 TEUs coming suddenly to the USA, for example, to the West Coast, and then what it means that you have tens of thousands of trucks coming and dropping and picking up. So it's just a sheer number of transactions and activities are taking place, and when you have these high numbers, so then you can have all kind of exceptions, all kind of problems, and how to handle those problems and how to handle the data that what you have there. I would say that that's where it's all coming from.
Yeah, good points, Antti. And it's not only receiving those larger vessels, it's also the whole infrastructure needed to support those type of operations. And at the end, the terminals are only part of the whole supply chain. So now jumping into the automation topic, these days there are quite few greenfields worldwide. Most of the cases are brownfield terminals evaluating different level of process automation and equipment automation. So what you consider is the baseline or the first step they should consider when evaluating automation?
Well, the first thing is just that we have to define that what do we mean with the word automation in this context, because the word automation has so many different meanings to a lot of different people. And then the first thing that I have said a few times is just that automation is one of those words that are more misquoted than maybe even the Bible or the Quran. So from that point of view, why I'm coming to this word is just that it means so many different things to different people. Automation have all these different kind of levels, and then we have to define that what kind of level are we talking about. If you think about these intelligent machines, for example, starting from the equipment, so you have the machine automation, so just to do the basic, go forward, but that becomes all the time more intelligence. Then you have the next level that you have the onboard kind of activities. You will start to have a lot of discussions and getting the commands from different directions. Then you come to this equipment control layer, in our case, making care of the traffic and routing, and then you have this DOS layer, even in our case, so terminal operating systems. And then in matter of fact, you can go even also to the next layer, so how to have the whole logistics system under control. So then the word automation can be easily used for all these different kind of activities that is taking place. And that's why it is always so confusing. Always, it's good to understand that what we talk about automation. When I now talk about automation, I want to go to the machine automation, this onboard, and then to the equipment control system, and a little bit to the terminal operating system kind of solution. So really the activities that are taking place in the port operations, or in the logistics center, or in the intermodal applications. So starting with that, so what is the learning, what I have seen so far? So we are in the early steps. You know that to be able to run, you have to be able to walk, and before able to walk, you have to crawl, and so on for a human being. So we are just now somewhere of crawling and getting the first steps. And in our industry, so we have to go through the pain, no gain of learning to do that. And one of the biggest learnings from the other industries I would like to use here is really this copy with pride. So copy with pride really means the fact that you have to use the proven solutions and build on the proven solutions to make the next solutions. Now our situation is still so that very many times our customers have very detailed thinking about how the automation should work when they come to talk to us automation suppliers. And in many cases, of course, the purchasing power of the customers is so high that we tend to go and make all these different kind of new solutions based on the requests. And then easily what happens is just that a lot of the automation solutions that exist are one-time kind of things that are then difficult to maintain, and there will be a lot of development effort and we should really be able to adapt this copy with pride. So to go with the proven solution, build on those proven solutions, to be able to have faster startup and then to have less software issues. And the difficulty with automation is really so that everything is possible. Everything is possible, but it always takes a lot of effort, and it always takes also a lot of time and also money. And usually it's again this trial and error. So you have to do it, and you have to develop by doing the mistakes to be able to get to the solution. So from the other industries, I would really like to take this learning, that accept the fact that you have proven solutions, copy them with pride and build on that. And we are not yet there in our industry when automating the ports and intermodal operations.
Totally agree with you, Antti. And how you see the role of change management during all this journey over here?
The most important thing is just that when you start to automate anything, not even related to this, many times the first mistake is just that you try to automate what you are doing nowadays. And when you try to automate what you do nowadays, you are easily making a compromise about what you could do with the automation. And that really means also that you have to consider all your processes and reconsider your processes, whatever automation we are talking about. And the important thing is really coming back to the fact that related to this, that be ready again to copy with pride, and then more important, accept the fact that the automated operations, automated port, automated intermodal is a different kind of animal. It's a different kind of animal that you have to work with, if I may use this word animal. So the manual terminal is here, semi-automated here, fully automated is here. You have to manage them, and you have to have your processes different for all these different kind of solutions.
Totally agree with you, Antti. And the base over here is that we need to have a proper understanding of our way of working and how that will be impacted with the new working when we implement automation on a semi or fully automated terminal. But then, the first things that come to my mind when I get asked about automation is safety. So how about this human-machine segregation, Antti?
Oh, now you have loaded question with so many items to touch. Let me start with the easiest one. So that's the safety. So when you have the automation running and when you have done everything, so safety goes up automatically. And there's a lot of data to show that, and this is important. And when I talk about the automation to the customers first time, I really want to start with the safety aspect, because in our industry, so 2 people lose their lives in the accidents, and there are too many accidents. So automation is really to help improve the safety. So that's the first thing, and you should never sacrifice the safety. And please understand that I forgot again the number. So was it now? The magnitude is something like that. If I remember, roughly 3 million people die in the traffic each year because of accidents. Think about, my nightmare is just that one person would be seriously injured because of the automated solution, and how much press, how much everything it would get. Because if you think about the cases what we have had with autonomous driving and the accidents, so it's nothing compared to these 3 million people, if that's the correct number, that lose every year. So we have to be extremely careful with the safety also from the perception point of view, and of course the human life is something to be preserved. What is the role of the human? Because what we as humans are very good, so we are able to get from a lot of data when it's in the graphical format, a lot of information out. That's our strength. And this should be really used. What is also very good with us as human beings, so is exception management. So with automation, so you usually have the ways that what you have to do the things, but when something happens that is not considered earlier, so then it's really the operator who has really the power to make it work and handle the exceptions. And if you think about any kind of automated operations, so exception management is the key what the human being can do. And from that point of view, you have to consider that the automation system is supposed and should support the operator in the decision making. And then I have to admit again, even being an automation supplier, that we don't always take that into account. So we have very engineered solutions, very engineered displays, very engineered information. Information can be in different systems, and how do we integrate all this information to have it usable and easier for the operator to do that. Then the other part of the story is really so that as a continuation, so the human is very good with this exception management. Then the other part is really the maintenance part. So you have to consider that there's a different animal again, and then you have to have different kind of management system and different kind of ways to handle that. The higher the automation level, the more important is the focus on the maintenance, because maintenance causes these exceptions, and with automation you want to minimize, or you want to have no exceptions, because exception is always causing delays and issues. So a lot of focus is, whenever talking about automation, a lot of focus needs to be on the maintenance management.
I really like your thoughts on what is the role of the human in a semi or automated terminal, and how important is the maintenance on this type of terminals. And Antti, I always get asked this question, which comes first, standardization or automation?
Yeah, this is chicken and egg. Of course, my answer is just that when we go to the copy with pride, it means standardization. Of course, it means standardization, so you have the standards of interfaces, but that's the piece of cake. So to be able to get the systems to work. Then more importantly, information content standardization, so what kind of information you are getting in and what you are getting out. So I would love to say that standardization comes first, but the reality is really such that there are a lot of standards and standards development. So earlier in my life, so I was participating in a lot of these standardization committees. And I have to say that these standardization committees are important, but it takes so long time to come with something out that the practice or the executions will be faster, and the standards are coming always later, years afterwards.
So one thing we have touched already, that the safety topic, then you also mentioned the importance of a reliable equipment, so maintenance aspect when we are talking about automation. But how about the role of leadership and the culture in a terminal when we talk about automation?
Then to the culture. Having an automation project, especially brownfield and even greenfield, but especially brownfield, if you don't have the change management included, you will fail. Because then you will have the same kind of, you tend to go to the same kind of process and trying to copy what you have today. And as I have said, it's a different kind of animal, so you have to work differently with this automated or semi-automated terminal. So it's a huge change what happens here and how you manage that. And then it's also very important that if you think about the operator, because our target is of course to have one person there to really run the operations, and then he or she is taking care of the exception management in a fully automated terminal. He or she is extremely important, and you can't overtrain or over-invest into those persons or those operators. So they will be just, I would even use the Formula 1 drivers. They have the top of the top. And their decisions and their work has huge effect on the productivity of the whole operation. So it's really that the roles are also changing. So there will be extremely critical persons running the show. And you have to understand and accept that this is really the way. Oh, leadership. Well, it comes, of course, from that way. Thinking about now that how important person is the operator. So it's totally different kind of world what you have in the manual terminals, and then the leadership styles needs to change. So it's much more coaching. It's absolutely not just go and tell what to do. You just need to let the person. You have to trust the persons who are working for you to go to the best performance what can be there.
Really like your thoughts on how you should involve people on any type of automation project. It doesn't matter if it is a greenfield or if it is a brownfield. So that links us to our next question, Antti. So, you will hear a lot about which comes first, technology or people. I truly believe that we need to create a perfect balance between those, and probably a little bit more on your people. Any thoughts around this?
Well, it's again this chicken and egg discussion, but yes, I'm a strong believer in people. So people come first. Technology is just an enabler. And then, of course, a lot of times so when starting something new, you have this leading edge technology, not the leading edge technology. So the technology decisions you make are very important for the success. But who are making the decisions? They are the people, they are persons, they are the specialists who need to be able to understand. And again, very openly, so if you think about now the port segment and the intermodal, of course, included. So what we have a lack of persons, specialists, who are able to understand the operations, technology, and also the people, and who are able to put all these things together. So this is huge lack of this kind of persons, and you can go to another industry and buy them or get them, because they need to learn, and then they need to be trained, and they need to have the time to be able to learn. I would say that the people first. Technology is just an enabler.
Great,
although we all love technology.
So Antti, we are sadly now coming into an end to this session. But I would like to hear your two main takeaways you would like to share with our worldwide colleagues that are currently evaluating automation for their terminal.
Two takeaways: focus on your people, copy with pride.
I really like your copy with pride phrase, Antti, and that's something I will always keep in mind.
Please do that. That's the way to enable the standardization and to speed up you leveraging automation in our industry.
Antti, this is all for today. I really appreciate your participation, especially on such a busy agenda you got these days, and you're most welcome to join us in future episodes. So really appreciate it, and thanks for this opportunity.
Oh, I would love to join to another session, and this is very important what you are doing, and I guess that what I'm doing here is trying to improve the understanding about how to leverage automation in our industry. You don't do it overnight. You just need to do some mistakes and learn, but the target is there, and I'm a strong believer that we can make miracles with automation in our industry.
Thanks, Antti.
Thanks. Great pleasure. All the best. Take care.
So hope you like this session. Really interesting thoughts shared by Antti. And if you're currently evaluating automation, don't forget the aspects we discussed today. So safety is a must, and according to the automation level, you will need to adjust your way of working. Remember, try to keep a balance between the people skills and the right level of automation. And leadership got an important role, not only on the project phase, but also during the go live and through the operational life of the terminal. So if you like this content, don't forget to share, comment, and subscribe to our channel. Keep tuned for the next episode.